Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining me. These weeks just keep flying by. I can't believe we're basically in the middle of January. It is absolutely crazy. I feel like it was just Christmas like a day ago. So I decided that we might want to talk about some different software options. I know I've been getting a lot of questions either on how do I do this in my software or which software is the right one for me, and different things like that. So I thought I would go over the big ones, if you will, and then try to answer any questions if there are any about the smaller ones as well. So there is definitely a lot of options when it comes to software. There's a lot more than what we offer here. So there's certainly a lot of different prices and different levels of things that are out on the internet as well. So I'm not going to get into anything that we don't, support here. So if it's not one that we sell or use in-house, it's not something that we can really help you with. That would be something like Embroidery or my Sonet, any of that kind of thing. Those types, a lot of that is available for download on the internet. And there's different levels of those as well, but I don't know anything about them. So we're not going to talk about any of that. We're going to jump right in because there is a ton of information, and it really comes down to what's the right thing for you, or whether any of it's the right thing for you. So unfortunately, all of the prices just keep going up. Nothing's getting less expensive. We're only getting higher numbers. We're not going down. Unfortunately, that's I know that's no big surprise to anybody, but the new year brought new prices, and so all kinds of different things are out there these days. So good morning, Miss Jen. Thank you for joining. I see we're picking up a couple more people as we go here. So I'm going to jump in. I have to remember which button to hit here to share my computer screen. So I have my laptop that I use that has all of my software on it in front of me here, and we're going to attempt to share that screen. Let's see. Hey, look at that first click. That's amazing in and of itself. So this is just my desktop. You know, they tell you, hi, Mom. They tell you not to put too much on your desktop. I'm not very good at that. I try to go through and clean up my desktop every now and then. Just putting something in the trash like that is not going to actually get rid of it out of there. You actually have to empty your recycle bin. You can set your recycle bin to trash itself, if you will, every like 30 days or something like that. So it can empty on its own. But I like to go in there and actually physically do that myself, just in case I put something in there that I did not mean to. I know I can go back and grab it. I have most of my loose files and things on the left side of the screen, which is where you see the folders and things like that. And I move all of my programs that I use into the upper right-hand corner of my screen. So if you look in the screen, top right corner, you see this little guy here. It just says E, lowercase e, and then TS. This is the Embroidery Toolshed for Dime. All of their softwares are going to be located under that. I'll show you that in just a second. The next one over here, the F, is Floriani's FTCU. That is Total Control U. That gives you the most functionality. They do have a few other things as well, but that is the embroidery software there. The next one to the left is the Flower, and that is going to be my PE or palette. And I have version 11. I've upgraded all the way. But those are, you could be maybe on 10. If you are not yet to 10, you're holding out with an 8, or maybe you have 9, which is called Next. You have that actual card reader box that plugs into your computer. I highly, highly recommend. Good morning, Miss Beth. I highly recommend that you switch to at least 10. So I can still get PE upgrades. So the Brother version, I can still get you into 10 from an older version of PE Design. Last I looked, there were no palette 210 versions available. So unfortunately, if you're in palette and you are at a lower number, I can't get you into those. The reason that I recommend that is not so that you buy an upgrade from me, which of course doesn't suck, but that's not the whole point. The point is that unfortunately, our Windows versions keep changing. And if your Windows version no longer supports the version of software that you're running, you are not going to be able to run that software. And that's what we have been running into. People are getting new computers, and they can only buy a Windows 11 computer, and those older version of PE and Palette don't run on the new version of 11. So that is what we're running into, and I would hate to have that happen to you. So if you are at a PE, which is the brother version, so PE to Design version, anything actually from 5 to 9, we can get you into 10. I still have a few of those available. So just keep that in mind. Give me a call if you want to talk about that individually. Good morning, Ms. Kathy. Thanks for joining us. So those are the original 3. So we had that we pretty much use here. So we have the Brother or the Babylock Palette or PE Design. We have Floriani Total Control, and we have the Embroidery Tool Shed from Dime, which is Perfect Embroidery Pro. So they call that PEP. So those are the big 3, if you will. So it's kind of like cars, but it's not. This past year, we actually have a new software available from Brother. It is not anybody else. So there's no like palette version. There is no currently anyways, there is no Babylock version of this software. Brother partnered directly with Wilcom. They wrote this. It comes with a complete version of Corel Draw. It is a very full-bodied software. It is the most expensive one that we have. It is the newest one that we have. So it's also got the most updated features and all of that good stuff there. So I'm going to just real quick, I didn't actually even get a chance to open my Floriani. So double clicking on the icon on your desktop is going to open that up. Floriani is a really great software. If you have been using Floriani in the past and maybe have some questions, it is no longer my go-to software. I have so much running on my computer. Hopefully this will still open. If not, we'll show you some other stuff too. But the unfortunately, it's not my go-to software at this point, so I don't use it on a day-to-day basis anymore. But I definitely still know the ins and the outs. So I'm happy to answer some questions. They do have training and things that are available here. So when you open your Floriani software, you get this little guy. One of the nice things with the Floriani is they do have all of those free designs. You can log into the software club and you can download every past free design, or you can just get the most current ones. So there's quite a bit of information there to be had. Just going to close this little window here. This is my workspace. Again, I am in Floriani. This is Total Control U. And this is, it's their full body digitizing software. So they also have, I guess you would call them like a quilting software and that kind of thing. They also have a cutting software, which is called Craft and Cut. Those are all separate pieces. They are not all underneath one big umbrella like Dimes has done, where everything is located underneath one head. These would be separate programs. So just to give you a really, really quick rundown here, where again, we are in Floriani's Total Control. This is a full-bodied digitizing program. It has an auto digitizer in it. It has some fun little word play things. So up here, you have your wizard up at the top. It's this little wizard hat. I know it's crazy. We have a cross stitch wizard. We have photo stitch wizard. We have auto artwork wizard. So this would be like a cut file or something to that effect. So artwork of some sort. Digitizing wizard here, and then advanced auto digitizing. So there's a bunch of different things here. These are going to be program that you pull in an image or whatnot that you want to have digitized, and it goes through there. Auto digitizing is never perfect. It's just not possible. It can get pretty good if you have a very clean, very basic picture. You can definitely get that. And this is going to be true out of any software. It really doesn't matter which one. Auto digitizing is obviously the easiest. If I download a clip art picture of an apple and I want an apple digitized, I can send that through my digitizing and it will give me a pretty good stitch out of an apple. If I want to have some editing capabilities after that, this full-bodied software will certainly handle that as well. Across the little centerpiece here in the middle, you do have settings, you have font options, you've got drawing tools, all of those different things. This is, like I said, no longer my go-to, but the buttons have basically still stayed the same. You have select tools, you have the ability to add in text. So when we add text, we click anywhere on the screen. Let's grab this guy and we just say, it'll pop up there. Over on the right, we get a box. We can type in what we want it to then say. And I think text is probably one of the most popular things that people do with their different softwares. And it doesn't matter what software you have, at some point in time, you're going to use the text feature in there. So your font options are going to vary, and how good they are going to vary. What you can do, what you have access to. All digitizing softwares will come with built-in digitized letters, which means you can type them in on a keyboard. Over here on the right-hand side, you can see what that would look like, all of the different letters that are available. And then I can go through and I can choose a different font, and then I can hit apply, and it would change what's going on in the center. So the just going to try to make that a little darker here. It's been a long time. Let's see. I'll just make it bigger. That'll be easier. So this is just a font called Cabbage Patch. It's kind of cute, pretty simple. I actually kind of like it. This will look really cute on tea towels or something like that. It's just got a little bit of character without being hard to read. So a lot of times that comes into play when you're dealing with a font that you're trying to stitch out, is what is the letters going to actually look like out of thread. And that is why everything cannot be digitized. So you can't just take any font and turn that into a digitized font and have that work really well, but you can do that with a lot. And that is, again, the same. So I have a little box over here that's labeled TTF. That is my true type fonts. When I check that box, I get a different list of fonts. And these are ones that I have built in my computer. So I've added them into my Windows font file, and I have a slew of them in here. Now, is this going to work? Maybe, maybe not. Until you try it out, you can kind of see what that looks like. What I'm actually wanting to do with something like this is I would need to move and overlap those. Otherwise, that looks kind of silly, right? So I would actually need to move all my letters to have that overlap, so the tails would continue into the next one. So font is definitely something that I would highly recommend that you take time to learn in whatever software that you're using. We add names, we add just a quick little saying or a message to a lot of things, even if it's Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, doesn't matter what it is. We do a lot of writing in words with our thread. So this is really great capabilities to be able to do that. We can also build in some basic shapes. So just dragging in shapes, we can bring that in, and then I can select that guy there. And I can turn that from a artwork piece into different shadings, so you can see the little swirl in there. So they have these little buttons across the bottom. I lovingly call them the one-click wonders. I did not make that up. Somebody over there came up with that one. So they have a basic standard fill. They have fancy fills where you can change what type of stitch it's being filled with. And they just basically, you select the shape that you want to change, and then you come down here and you select the one-click wonder button that you would like. So Floriani is very straightforward in that aspect. They have some buttons that can be a little confusing, but they don't stay confusing, if you will. They do have that feature that you highlight over top, just hover over there, and it will give you what that particular item is. You can pull fonts in and actually take, like, if you bought PES files or any, it doesn't have to be PES, that's just what I use, obviously. But if you bought a alphabet of an applique or something or other, that you bought the A file and you bought the B file, but they're not something that you could type on your keyboard and you just come up with whatever that word is. So I couldn't just type in morning. I'd have to bring in the M, I'd have to bring in the O, all separate files. You can actually import those into the font importer and actually create a typable font within the softwares. And a lot of them have that capability. A lot of times it's called font mapping. It just is dependent upon whoever made up the name that day and who won in the conference room on what they wanted that to be. Color play is really fun. It can change colors of multiple colored items. So you can see it literally just hovers over top of all of those different features and it tells you what they are. So you don't have to guess. It's very easy to add those things in. So again, this is Floriani's full-bodied program. They do not have a knockdown version of this. It's pretty much all or nothing. So it's just dependent upon what you're looking for, whether that's the right one for you. They definitely do have support and they are very helpful within that support feature. I have now clicked on my embroidery toolshed. This is very similar. If you are looking at the different buttons and the layout of the screen, it's very similar to Floriani. They used to be partner companies. They split way back in the day and they each have gone their own way and they've done their own thing with their software and their other products. The way that Dime has done this is they have created a tool shed. So it's kind of literally exactly like what it sounds like. It is a container for all of your different tools. Down in the right-hand corner, I've got a little shopping cart. And in here, it shows all of the different types of softwares that are available within the Dime world. The current one I have selected is the embroidery tool shed. And the yellow check mark means that I actually have that activated. You can see that pops up there as well. The little dots here, I can turn and I can look at a tutorial, or I could make that my default if I wasn't on that as my default. So Perfect Embroidery Pro, here we go. Here is make it the default. If I didn't have that as a default earlier, my tools across the top would change based on what I have as my default program. I have access to all of those tools at any given time if I own that part of the program. So Perfect Stitch Viewer is so that when you are looking at your embroidery files on your computer, you can actually read them. There's no digitizing function to that. So you're not going to have anything here in-house that you'll see. Toolshed Plus is a broken down version of this. So you don't have all of the features of Perfect Embroidery Pro, but you get a little bit of that. Part of that is the font capability to be able to bring in and create fonts. So these are the core items that they have here. We then go into the quilting tab, and under quilting, we have quite a few different options. My Quilt Embellisher, if I make that the default, if you look across the top of the screen, these tools change yet again. And I can take and have a shape, and within that shape, I'm going to change tools, select that. So all of these are now available to be played with. And depending upon what I want to do, I can put a stipple in there. I can change that to one of my decorative fills. I can choose a shape and it would do quilting based on that shape. So we can embellish our quilts by building in quilt designs and decorative pieces for specific sections of quilt squares. They also have this beautiful whole thing about different blocks. So I can say, all right, I want to make a block that's just a simple pinwheel. I can bring that in and then I can select the so the blue sections, I could have all of those be the same type of quilt pattern decorative pieces. And I could do the same with the yellow, or I could only quilt one section and not the other to give it a little bit more of a 3D effect. So Quilt Embellisher gives you the ability to pull in standard quilt blocks. And there are a slew in here. I don't know, this was just this menu here. So, you've got curved blocks. You've got so many different things in here. So it would give you the ability to do all of those quilt designs. And again, this is for the embroidery hoop. So you would want to be creating a quilt file that you're going to then put into your embroidery hoop. So this is not for sewing machine stitching or anything like that. Just throwing that out there. I get that question every now and then. So again, I'm under the quilt section, and there are multiple things that we can do with the different features in here. Again, it matters what you're trying to do, whether you are going to choose one or the other or multiples and that kind of thing. Good morning, Miss Cindy. Thanks for joining. Under the specialty, this is some of my favorite stuff to play with in here. We have cosplay. So this has become a very, very popular um, hobby to build different cosplay types of things. And this will give you the ability to do some embroidery for that. And the In the Hoop, the designer, this is fairly new. I really like this one. This is going to it's definitely very functional, I guess is a really great word. So it takes the guesswork out of so many things. We've got a little wizard hat again up here. We can open the different types of templates. So what In the Hoop project do we want to do? So let's say I want to make a keychain. Well, here's some different keychain options. Maybe I want a heart-shaped keychain. Valentine's Day is coming up. I can come in here and now I have I Heart New York. Well, that's really great, but maybe I don't heart New York. So I could come over here and instead of New York, I could say Michigan and see what that looks like. And so then I could say, yep, that's what I want. Or maybe I want to put somebody's name there or something completely different. You can change all of that. And that's kind of the cool feature of that. You can also change the size of that finished piece. Once you have that, they actually include instructions on how to actually stitch that in the hoop. So, you know, where do I place my fabric when? All of those kinds of things are going to be in the instructions. When I get that, it comes and boom, there it is on the screen. And if I look over here, there's all my stitches. That simple. So the In the Hoop, the designer is very straightforward, gives you a lot of play. And then I could tweak that even still here. Zippered bags. There were so many things in there. It is a really, really full bodied add-on. And I really like that. If you know me, you know I love my scan and cut. Cut and stitch was new, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, something like that. And it is a really, really great program for creating cut files. It includes the ability to do like rhinestones and different things like that, in addition to creating cut work files. So you get actual, not cut work, that's the wrong word, I apologize. Cutting files like an SVG artwork. I'm combining my words here. Sorry about that, guys. So lots of options in that cut and stitch. The patch and applique maker is exactly what it sounds like. So these are all smaller programs. You don't have to have any one in order to use another. The only thing that you have to have is the embroidery tool shed, and you would download anything inside of that and then be able to pull those out. Special effects is a ton of fun. We have talked about that here on live here before. This is where you can make plaid, you can make gradients, you can make like an ombre type thing. You can create fringe, all kinds of different things, chenilling, all of that kind of thing are special effects. And those are able to be created in the special effects software module. And so you can do that in there. If I change and go to that to the default, again, all of my pieces up here change. And I have a prism effect. I have that ombre fill. I have my fringe tool. I've got a plaid. I've got chenilling, all of these different things, the embossing fill. There's also a varsity fill, a mylar fill, all kinds of things that we can add in. So lots of options. Again, what kind of embroidery do you want to do? And that's going to help decide. I spoke with a really nice gentleman before Christmas, and he was purchasing some things for his wife. And so he got her a couple different things and then a gift certificate so she could pick out what add-on module she wanted, because of course it's an individualized thing. We don't all do the same thing. And it's a really great opportunity to have so many different options and focal points based on what you personally prefer to do. So there is vintage embroidery, designing fabrics, emoticon stickers. So, you know, the cute little circle faces and things. Pet emoticons. There are tons of things. I actually don't own that one. Again, photo stitch capability, those kinds of things. And then they do have some fonts that you can bring in. So applique fonts, micro fonts, and things like that as well. So puffy font is definitely also very popular, and they do have one of those in there. So definitely lots and lots of power in here. If we just go to our standard embroidery software, this is going to be your full body, everything. You've got your auto digitizer, you've got bringing in fonts. The fonts are very, very similar to what we did before. You get the box that comes up over on the right. It gives you a letter A instead of the word my text. But again, we can not type this morning, so sorry. and we have those block letters there. We can apply that. You can see it. You can resize. You can do all of these things. All of them have the ability to, really play with your font and do different things to fit inside of whatnot. It's really fun. You can have like a pair of sunglasses and fit font inside the shades. Different things like that. It's just a matter of, what are you looking for? Everybody has an undo button, which is also an amazing thing. One of your very good friends, you will definitely be using that a lot. This is a Christmas font. You going to use this all the time? Nope. But is it kind of fun if you wanted to have something with a little Christmas tree behind it? Sure is. And look at that's one of those built-in pieces. So there's lots of things that are in here. Curly Q font. And then again, instead of TTF, we have a TT button here, and it's going to pop in there. You can choose what type of stitch that you're looking for. And I'm sure you recognize Arial, right? That's right out of Word. So we type with that one all the time. This is a little bit more scrolled font. It does stitch out fairly well. I'm not a big fan of these big little loopy things in the middle, which it looks a little off-centered to me. Obviously, I know that says good morning and I can read cursive, but sometimes I like maybe the capital letter of something, but I want the small letters from something else. I do that all the time. So I mix and match and I choose those things. Just because you want a font to be converted into stitches does not mean it's going to stitch out well or even look well placed on the screen. So you always want to test things out. Don't ever digitize a font like this that's a true type font and just throw it in, especially a super expensive project, because there's a really good chance that it's not going to stitch out quite like you thought it was going to. So always test out these things on some scraps. Font, again, is one of the most popular things that people do with their softwares. You have a full body option in here. Definitely lots of playtime to be had on all of the different things that are available here. Just like in the Floriani, we can pull a shape that's already a fill. Let's take this, dun, 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 and right click, and that closes that shape and it automatically fills that in. The other option that we have is using our artwork tool, choosing that rectangle, doing this, selecting that. So selecting that, I get my handles around those outside, and then I can right click and I can convert that to any of those other things. So I can make that into an applique. Boom, now I have those 3 stitches. If I open that up and that's my applique feature, I'm going to get the placement line, the tack down line, and the decorative stitch. I currently have that selected as a satin stitch, but we can change that. So that could be an E stitch, which is kind of like your blanket stitch. You can see that a little bit better in there. So there's that stitch coming in there. So you have a lot of power. It doesn't have to be actually tracing something, but you can do that if you would like to. Those are going to be a little bit more time consuming and a little bit more of a learning curve if you were actually doing that, but you could bring in a backdrop tool. I've talked about this when I'm doing quilting. I have, here we go. This is just a simple basketball. All right. If I wanted this to be a circle, I could use my shape here, come to the ellipse, and then I could drag my circle over top of that. I get that line, and then I need to fix that. So get it to line up with my shape here. So I don't actually have to click all the way around those. That's one thing I can do. I can duplicate that line, have one be a satin stitch, one be a fill, so that entire thing fills in. But then I can also actually come and actually do a running stitch or a satin line, and I can click. So that basketball that you see there is not stitches. That's just a JPEG or a PNG. I don't remember which one it said it was. So now I've got that line here, and I can take that. It's currently a run, but I could make that into something different. I can change what I want that. I can convert it to a steel stitch. And so there you can see it would do a little small satin stitch instead. I can make the width of that change, everything, the width right here. So I can make that a little bit bigger. You have all of the power in here. So this is my go-to software these days. It's just a matter of what's the best one for the job. So a lot of you out there have PE Design or Palette. We're going to plop over to that one next. So I'm going to pop into that. We're going to minimize here, and we are going to open up my beautiful little flower here. So this is, again, PE 11. They're all going to look very similar. PE 11 and Palette 11 look pretty much exactly the same. It's more a matter of whether you have a scan and cut button or not. So Palette does not have any scan and cut tools, because that is a Babylock software, and Scan and Cut is not a Babylock product. So there's not anything to do with Scan and Cut in the Babylock. That's really the only real difference between the two. Sometimes there's a price difference, but I mean, the functionality, the buttons are all going to look exactly the same. Difference from version 10 to version 11, you are going to pick up obviously more designs that come with it, more fonts that come with it, all of those kinds of things. And then there's also some more functionality with creating stitches for the new top of the line machines, those custom fills that we've talked about the last couple of weeks. You can create those in this software. You do need to have version 11 to be able to do all of that as well. So again, this is, I'm not trying to teach you how to use any of these softwares at the moment. I apologize. I know some of you probably have some specific questions like, wait, what was that button? And I'm certainly happy to help you out individually with any of that kind of thing. I will throw out there, if you have not read your most current emails with the classes, there are some PE and Palette software classes. Needs to be either version 10 or 11. Again, everything kind of changed at version 10. We switched our actual dongle changes, and then the functionality of the softwares definitely do change. So if you are one of those older ones, give me a call and let's talk and see what you have and what you need. So before they run out and I can't get you into that. We're talking like $300 to get into version 10-ish, something like that. And again, I don't have any left over for Babylock, but I can, if you have the other version, I do have that functionality available still. But a full version software is almost $2,000 now. So if you lose out on the option to upgrade your software from version 5 through 9 to 10, and you get a new computer and you still want to run software, your only option at that point is to buy a whole new version, which is no fun. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. So if anybody is out there and you are in that boat, give me a buzz and let's talk about what you have and where you want to be. And we'll get you there as inexpensively as possible. Okay. So again, this is currently PE or Palette 11. On the right-hand side, you don't have to have all of these here. I have chosen to have those underneath my view. So my sewing order, that's this one here. My stitch simulator, that's the one down at the bottom. And then my attributes, there's all of the panels that I have over here. So that is how I'm saying, yes, I want to see those things on my screen. You don't have to see them if you don't want to. You can choose that. It's kind of a nice thing here. So the way that you are going to open a design is either double click and it will show up inside of your stitch field there, or you can simply click on it, drag it over, and then let go inside of your embroidery field, and boom, there you have that exact same file. So two different ways to do that. It's all a matter of what you would like to do. Just like everything else, we do have an auto digitizer. We have shapes tools, so you can bring in all different types of shapes. One of the differences in this program versus the others that we've talked about so far, do you see how I have a blue center? And maybe you can't see that. Let me change this to a little bit lighter color. All right, so I have a yellow center and I have a black outline. This is an automatic, easy to do thing. So remember on that basketball, I said I could copy it and I could have one be the satin stitch for the outside circle and I could have one be the fill stitch, but I would actually have to copy the line. That's because in that software, you have to have two lines if you want two different types of stitching. This one, you have that option right here. So the top feature here is whether I want an outline. I don't have to have an outline. I can turn it off, just that simple. But if I do want that outline, do I want it to be a zigzag? How big do I want the zigzag? I can go in there and change that with just a click of a button. Do I want it to be a running stitch? So I just want it to have a crisp edge, but I don't really want to have that overwhelming the shape itself. I just want it to have that nice clean edge. I can put a running stitch all the way around the outside. I can have that running stitch be the same color as my spade in this case. So if I wanted, I could have my running stitch also be yellow, and then it would just give me that nice crisp edge, but I'm not actually seeing a different color. So you have those choices. So in here, it's very, very easy to do all of those things. Changing the color, I simply can click on the spool, change the color. Changing the stitch type, I simply click on the drop down and I get all of these different options. I can do concentric circles. I can do, let's see, a motif stitch. And let's see, so many options. And we can just keep changing all of those things. So over here, we have all of our attributes, sewing attributes that we can change. So this is, where's my folder? Let's see, my region is all the different stitch types that are here. If I choose, I have it on that just a standard fill. If I go to a motif stitch, this window changes over here. I can click that folder and I can choose whatever type of motif I want. So maybe I want it to be stitched with a sewing machine inside, and I can do that. I can change the size of the sewing machine and all of those things that are in there. So I have the ability to change the type of stitch by, again, a click of a button. It's not a one-click wonder across the bottom. It's a drop-down menu. It's not a right-click and convert to. It's a drop-down menu, but it's still the same concept. So most of these programs have the same tools available. They're just going to be located or accessed in a different way, but all of them pretty much have the same basic things. Some of them are better at some things than other. One of the things that the Brother Babylock softwares have always excelled in is if you are doing photo stitch. So you've seen me talk about that before. We now have a version of that available in our top of the line machine. We talked about that in detail not that long ago. If I wanted to do a photo stitch, all I have to do is come in here, choose what type of stitch that I want, and I can then choose a photo. I don't know if I have any actual pictures on here. Isn't that terrible? I have all kinds of stuff all over the place, but I have no idea what I have where. Let's see. Holy crow, I got lots of stuff. But no pictures, because that's just not going to be easy, is it? Let's see. So many files. Look at that. There's a pictures folder. Think maybe I could find a picture in pictures. All right. So let's say, of course, I want to do Jack because I always do Jack, right? All right. It's thinking. I've been popping around, clicking a lot of buttons. I have a ton of things open on this computer. So unfortunately, my RAM is pretty full at the moment. So being able to run is, there we go. Okay. So it's just running really slow. I'm sorry, guys. Too many programs open, using up all of the memory in my computer, being able to do that. I can do outlines. This is actually an outline of a different dog. Here, second one down, but we're going to just do the whole thing here. I'm going to click next. There's his nose. It's thinking. It's going to go really slow. So I don't know if I'll go through this whole process, but you guys have seen the pictures and the things that are there. This is really great. In older versions, we had to choose the size of our hoop before we ever got here. We actually have the ability to change the hoop size. You can fit it to the hoop. So if I wanted it to be a 5x7 hoop instead of, if only I could read. Here we go. Got to go up. 5x7 hoop, and then I can fit it to the frame. Yeah, it's thinking really, really hard. And then I can fit it to my 5x7 frame. So just like anything else, when you digitize, you should always digitize to the closest to the finished size that you want it to be. You don't want to change the stitches later on. It's always going to stitch out the best if you create it in the size you're going to stitch it. So I am going to actually close Floriani. Nope, don't save anything. And close. Should help run things a little bit smoother if I don't have quite as much open. So this is, again, that photo stitch in here It's going to continue through. We have the ability to actually create stitches of any photograph. It's moving a little bit faster. So we have the ability to change our stitch length in here. How many threads, how many times am I willing to change the thread? I can make it a finer so there's more stitches in there as well. And then I can change the preview. You'll see the picture on the right. It changed. It actually got a little bit clearer. And then when I click finish, it will actually send that to my screen, and it will create that. The best visual that you're going to have is actually that one on that last previous screen. This is so this is literally all there is to doing a photo stitch. All I have to do is get the colors and stitch it out. I don't have to adjust anything. If I want to adjust, I certainly can, but I don't have to. Photo stitch is one of the things that these softwares, the Brother and the Babylock PE Design or Palette, excel at. They are the best of anything I have seen anywhere. And I would highly recommend, if this is something that you want to do, this is the software that you would want to go into. All right. The other things, we do have auto digitizing with just standard shapes like your clip art. We talked about an apple earlier, same kind of thing in here. We do have the ability to create cut files if you are in a Brother version of this. The last thing I wanted to show real quick, and then I'm going to pop out of this one and into our newest software. If I put font on here, I'm going to get an actual cursor. It's going to look a little bit different. So I'm typing. When I hit enter, it becomes on actual stitches on my screen. I can resize that. All right. I'm going to change the, so sorry, excuse me. Here, instead of a true type box, anything with a number next to it is a built-in digitized font. Those are all going to be the first ones. And then at the bottom of that, it switches to TT. So you don't have to click a box on this one. It automatically loads those. You just have to scroll down. So I want to have just a very bold piece here. I don't want anything crazy. I just want something nice and thick. So I think this one will work pretty good. There we go. All right. So this is one of those things that is a pain in the rump in any other software, but in here, it's a click of a button. So I talked about being able to outline a shape very easily. You can also outline your font. So if you want a 2-color font and that's something that you do on a regular basis, again, this is the software for you. So up here, I can have a zigzag stitch and it automatically, this is why I wanted a really big font. So I'm actually going to get rid of morning. And then I'm going to make this a whole lot bigger so you guys can see way better. So we get that satin stitch around the outside edge and our solid color inside. 2-color font, boom, just like that with the click of a button. Again, I have the ability to change what kind of stitch. So if I want another color, but I don't want it to be overwhelming to the stitch, I can just do a running stitch. If I want a little bit heavier, but I still don't want it overwhelming, I can make it a triple stitch. This is, even if I have a smaller letter, I still have that little bit of pop on the edge. It cleans that up so it gives it a nice crisp edge, but it doesn't interfere with the font itself. So again, photo stitch and 2-color things are 2 of the things that this particular software is phenomenal at, and I would highly recommend it if those are things that are interesting to you. So that is, I'm so sorry, pardon. That is our Brother or Babylock PE Design or Palette. All right, so that, again, you can bring in things, you can merge multiple things on the screen. Very versatile and very functional. It's just a matter of, again, what is it that you are looking for? I'm just going to delete this again so that I'm not overwhelming my system. Before I go into the brand new software, I do want to point out we do have some little bit lower level softwares that are available from Brother. We have BES Blue, which I have here. We also have a BES Silver, which has a little bit more feature than the blue does. So it's going to be a little bit more available for just doing a little bit more for you. Again, it's not a full digitizer. One of the things, again, that Brother has always been very good with is their fonts. And so their BES has always been very font valued. So you have alpha mapping. I think I mentioned earlier, sometimes that's what it's called. So if you have purchased an ABC letter with its all, each one is an individual design, you can bring that in and you can map that so that you could use just a keyboard for those. You have the ability to bring in designs. You can do monograms, you can do fonts, all of those different things. You can bring in a design and add fonts to them. All of that kind of stuff is very easy in here. So again, this is a very basic software, but sometimes you just need a little bit of something. And maybe you just want to play a little bit on screen here instead of on the screen on your machine. So this is definitely an option for those people. You don't want to drop a lot of money on software, but you want to get in to have something that you can play. This would be certainly an option for you. So again, we have BES Blue and BES Silver that are an available option, and those are both by Brother. So the new software is called BE Embroidery Studio. This is a very, very full-bodied program. It is brand new. I have been watching videos to learn a little bit about it. I don't know everything about it yet, but there are, again, built-in things that you don't have to go anywhere for. So the learning curve is, it's there. You're going to have to learn, but it's all right in front of you. You don't have to go searching and things like that. So one of the videos that I was watching the other day is this Instant Smart Design, and that has some different functionalities in here. We have the ability to do sketching. We have the ability to do photo stitch. We have color photo stitch, simple photo stitch. We have reef photo stitch. So there's a bunch of different ones there. It's just, again, a matter of which one is the right one for you. So I have not played with this at all. There is just a slew of built-in things. So these are all your different hoop options and what you have out there. If you choose a hoop, you can have that, like, show you where it's going to be. I'm not going to get into all of that. Like I said, I don't want to teach you how to use it. I just want you to see what is there. There are a lot of buttons up here. Just like before, if I hover over it, it tells me what those are. So again, we can import embroidery. We can import a graphic. So, bringing in a photograph of some sort. We have all kinds of editing tools. So show your repeats and your stitch different types, all of that kind of stuff. Again, I haven't learned it all yet. I'm working on it. I've been watching some videos trying to up my game on this one. It was just released in August. I did get my copy. I think it was about October when I got my copy. But if I bring in, I think we decided I need to go to my pictures to find a picture. Is that what we said? I know, so silly. All right, so there's that same picture of Jack. I can open that. It's going to fill in the back, and I can make that fit my screen with just one click. That is the 0 button on your keyboard. Now, when I click these, I'm going to have options for what I want to do with that. Again, it's just a matter of, I've still got all kinds of stuff going on. I have windows open. I'm online. I'm all kinds of stuff. But those photo stitch, you bring in your photo and then you tell it what you want it to do, and then it throws those stitches on screen. We can, of course, bring in and open embroidery designs. We can have start a new project. You've got all of those different things. I don't know if you can see. I'm just gonna, I might have frozen it. Let's see. Yeah, my I got an hourglass, which is never a good sign. We're gonna just let that go. I'm gonna stop clicking some buttons. So the softwares that are out there are definitely very high powered softwares. This one in particular comes with a complete version of CorelDRAW. What does that mean? That means if you have any artistic skill at all, or even not, you can pull in shapes and create your design in artwork and then bring that in, let the auto digitizer do its basic work, and then so sorry, and then you can tweak from there. So when they talked about this software at our convention back last August, that was actually what they recommended. So they did recommend that you start with that. Why start from scratch unless you have, you know, a super simple something or other? Why take all of that time? Let the computer do the work for you. So he actually recommended, let's see. I want to try, we're just going to do photo flash. This one is, and there's so many settings in here. And again, I'm still learning all of them. I'm going to do the light, dark, the light background, medium resolution. Now let's do medium because I don't want it to take all day. Let's see. Don't need to do that. See, I told you I was still learning. Too many buttons. So you can adjust the spacing of your stitches. So the photo flash is going to do kind of a simple stitch. The reef stitch is going to do, it almost looks like stippling, but it needs to have a high contrast design. So this particular one is unfortunately, you've got your question mark. So your help, like I said, there's help on everything. And it literally says, okay, hey, what do you want to do? If you don't know what to do, here's my picture, here's my simple stitch, and it shows me what I need to adjust. So tag those different things, go on through. If you don't know this, you can take those step by step and follow all of that. The hey, look, that's where we are right now. I know I need to check this little box, but I don't know why it won't let me. Isn't that fun? So again, like I said, I have been watching videos to learn the different pieces, but unfortunately, I don't know all of the things. I don't know if I'm supposed to choose that hoop first or what. But when I choose the photo flash, it is supposed to then spit out your stitches. So it's going to be lines, and it's going to be straightforward and pretty a simple, not quite as heavy as your standard photo stitch. So there's the different types. And again, right now I'm on, I have that camera selected. I have no idea what I just clicked. Let's try and undo. There we go. So having that simple line stitch of that is going to be lighter weight than having a full photo stitch. The opening and editing of designs, again, we have fonts, just like everything else. We have the ability to bring in fonts. We have the ability to open designs, bring them in, combine them, edit them, play with them all in here. You can also, like I said, bring over something from Corel Draw and have that be playing here. Good morning, Miss Mary. So it's definitely got a lot of different pieces in it. I'm still learning it. You can learn it right along with me if you would like. They've posted like dealer lesson type things. So I've been watching those when I can in between miscellaneous things and customers and whatnot. There's definitely a very full body program. So I'm sure it doesn't surprise anybody that there's a lot of pieces to learn on this particular one. It's just a matter of what are we looking for? So lots and lots of information to talk about when we're talking about software. There are still some that I didn't mention. So it's just a matter of what do you want and what individual piece is it that is going to be the key for you to get out of it what you want. Software is not expensive. You know, I always, regularly, constantly get asked about digitizing. We don't digitize for people here. We simply just don't have the time for that. We will teach lessons on software if you have bought it from us. I would still probably recommend that you take a group class because those are actually guided. They're specifically in a let's do this and let's learn this, where sometimes lessons kind of go off on tangents. You ask a question and then we go over there. And instead of going through all of the basic things, there's not like a plan, if you will. It's kind of whatever you ask is where we go from there. So sometimes it can be a hot mess. You'll still get something out of it, of course, but you end up needing a lot more of those because we jump around a lot more. So I do recommend when there is a software class that is available for you to take on a particular piece, I would recommend that. Again, we do have some upcoming pieces in February. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the date prior to, but it is on, I know Miss Mary signed up for those. So good, good. That is lettering coming up in February. And then she has a digitizing class coming up in April. Tucker is coming back to teach those for us. So if you would like to see Tucker, it's also a really great way to pop in and see her as well. The lettering class is just a 1 day, like 3-hour class. The digitizing class is a 4-week class. So you do need to commit to that. It's, I believe, $100 to do the digitizing. It's 4 weeks, like 3 hours each day. You'll get homework. She wants you to play with whatever you guys have talked about that day and bring back a digitized design that she can see that you have played with the tools and all of those kinds of things. So it's definitely not just a lecture that you're not going to actually get to push buttons or anything like that. I highly, highly recommend those kinds of things. We definitely have popped on here and we have videos on some of the different softwares, for instance, the special effects and that kind of thing, where we actually go into detail. You know, you click this button and it does this and that kind of thing. As I learn more about the BE Embroidery Studio, I am hoping to do that as well, so that there's a little bit more functionality for that you guys, and you have some reference points to come back, even if it's just click this, click this, click this. So in addition to all of our full-bodied softwares, we do have things such as Artspira, which is an app that gives you the ability to create or pull in a design, add font. You can actually write on the screen, so you can add your handwriting and those kinds of things as well, and then wirelessly send that into any machine that is a Brother wireless machine, as that is a Brother app. It is only available for that. Canvas Workspace is specific for cut files. That is very specific to a Scan and Cut. You can send wirelessly directly out of Canvas Workspace directly into your Scan and Cut, as long as it's wireless, which if you have any of the new ones, they all are. And there is a website version of that, which has been around forever. But they also created a desktop version. So you don't actually have to be on the internet, which sometimes you have to wait for something to load on the internet. So you can actually download the program, work on your desktop, and then wirelessly send it. And it doesn't drag on your internet while you're doing that. And it actually has a lot more functionality on that desktop version. I have videos and different information walking through that as well. So like I said last week, I am going to try to focus on education and what is out there, and help break down things and bring them down to the nuts and the bolts of, you know, the simplicity of these wonderful machines and softwares that we have. We really do have a lot of the most user-friendly things available on the market. So I would like to just kind of, like I said, nuts and bolt it and bring it down to, this is how you thread it, this is how you do this, and work on the different machines and let you guys know this is going to be how all of these machines work, and this is how all of these machines work. And then you'll have references available for that too. So that is my goal moving forward. That doesn't mean I'm never going to stitch out, you know, like, oh, this new thing came out, let's talk about the new stuff, and this is how we stitch this, and so on and so forth. I will definitely be doing things like that as well. It's just going to be a matter of what comes out. So we do have classes. There is still room. I think all of the standard kits are sold for my Scan and Cut class that's on the 22nd. I can come up with an alternative kit. Basically, all that means is the cork that I had pulled for that class. We've gone through all of the cork, but there's other corks available, so I can certainly pull that in and make more kits if that's what we would like. I think I'll put up an alternate kit option for that. So Scan and Cut class is coming up. There is, I believe, still a spot available for Monday the 19th Radiance survey. That is where you come in and you actually get to push buttons on the Radiance if you are interested in what that machine does. This is not I already own the machine and I want to learn it. That's not what this is. This is showing you what the machine does. So you actually can't own a Radiance and come to this class. So unfortunately, that's not what this part is, but there is one spot still available if anyone else is interested. It's $10 to sign up, but you will get a gift certificate for the store of $50 when you come in that day. So it's definitely a no-lose situation, and you get to learn about what the new features and things are on the machine. That is Monday the 19th. My Scan and Cut class is Thursday the 22nd. And then we have the software classes coming up. I do have my next embroidery and sewing class here. I just need to get the sample made and get that listed. So find a date for those. We do have a sale on all of our punch needles. We have some new samples, thanks Mom, in the store if you want to see some different things. And then all of my in-stock are on sale. So 25% off all of our in-stock punch needle kits. And that can get you a chance to play with some of those. Those are so great. I really, really enjoy them. I do actually have a punch needle class prepped. I already have the fabrics and everything for that. I just need to actually make the sample again and get that on the books. That is not a Kimberbell one. That is actually, what is that, Lori Holt? I think it's Lori Holt. Pattern and yarn and things like that. So we definitely have a lot of things coming up. It's just a matter of getting those on the books and getting the samples made. That's the hard part. I have had some good times buying some new fabric things. Our flannel has finally shipped. So we should be seeing our new flannel coming in any day, and that'll be a nice selection if you're looking for some pajama pants or something like that. We're going to have some beautiful flannels that you can pick from. We already have a few, but we're going to have a much larger selection. And that will be coming real soon. We just got some new batiks in. There is a bunch of new fabric coming in March and April. Bag classes. I've spoken with Jan. It's been a couple weeks. We don't have dates selected yet, but what she's going to do, she's going to do a sewing organizer, I believe probably in February. And then she was going to do a tote bag with Kimberbell canvas coming up in like April or May or something like that. So we're going to have to just find some dates to make that work. So lots of things coming up. Stay in touch, check your emails. We are trying to send those out as we get information in, send out what the dates are and that kind of thing. So as always, please feel free to reach out, email at the stitching email that'll be popping up here in just a second, or the phone 734-663-3033. Give us a buzz or shoot us an email at stitching@leabusewingcenter.com, and we would be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you so very much for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.